I see we have someone joining us, but I can't quite make out who they are. But anyway, let's just, again, close the eyes, just softly relax the face. Try to release any muscle tension in the jaw, forehead, around the eyes and temples. Allowing your shoulders to kind of relax down away from your ears if you want to wiggle them a bit or kind of roll them or shrug them. And just let the arms rest wherever they feel comfortable. Paying attention to the hips and knees. And as you breathe, on the exhales, just settling in a little bit more, right? Feeling that sense of being grounded down. Feeling your seat either on your mat or your block, feeling very rooted. And from the base of our seat, we want to lift the spine upward so the crown of the head reaches up toward the ceiling. So we have a nice, tall, lifted spine. Everything else relaxing. And just shifting our attention from the external to the internal. So really tapping into how you're feeling this morning, any areas that feel like they're gripping or tense. Becoming aware of your breathing. And as soon as we direct our awareness to the breath, it's almost like it slows down automatically, which is what we want to do. We want to start to smooth it out. Inhaling in through the nose, maybe pausing for a moment, and then very slowly exhaling out through the nose completely. Really press out the air. And we'll do a few rounds of that, just filling up, emptying out. And on your next exhale, just allow your breath to breathe naturally. Right? No controlling the breath, just letting it flow in and out through the nose. We want to try to keep a steady stream, steady flow of breath. In yoga, we call the prana, the life force energy, to feed our muscles and our bodies so that we can move and stretch without restriction. And from here, let's bring our hands to prayer in front of the heart. And maybe set an intention to honor ourselves this morning by being gentle with our bodies, silencing that voice of criticism and judgment, and any other personal intention you'd like to set. Maybe you want to send some of the good vibes from your practice out to someone that may need it right now. Just taking a moment to do that. And we'll open by chanting one vibration of Om. So if you'd like to join me, taking a nice deep inhale. And releasing the hands down, slowly fluttering the eyes open. Okay, so I believe everybody's muted, but if you're not, if you could mute, that would be great. I don't know how to do it. I'm still like Zoom dummy. All right, so we're gonna start, we'll bring our arms out to the sides and just take a nice big inhale, reach the arms up overhead. So the palms face up and come together overhead. Nice big inhale, lift up, and then exhale, just bring your palms in front of the heart. From here, we're gonna interlace the fingers and then just press the palms away and lean back. Let your shoulders round forward. And then inhale with the palms or the fingers still interlaced, reach the arms up overhead. Try not to hike the shoulders, so let the shoulders drop down. Nice big inhale here. On the exhale, we're going to turn into a twist. So left hand over right knee, right hand comes behind. Maybe looking over your right shoulder. Try to keep that right hand nice and close to the base of the spine. That's going to help lift you up nice and tall. And then release the twist. We'll inhale again, reach the arms up overhead. Nice big inhale, lifting up. And then exhale, hands come to prayer. This time, try to interlace the hands or the fingers the way that doesn't feel comfortable, or feel awkward. And then again, press the palms away, tuck the chin, round the shoulders forward, lean back, really targeting that upper back. And then inhale, reach the arms up, shoulders. Don't hike them up. Nice big inhale here. Exhale, we're going to twist the other way. So my right hand comes across my left knee, left hand comes behind. Gazing over your left shoulder. And slowly coming back to center. So we're going to just bring our left arm out to the side, just like this. And we're going to internally rotate it. And then we're going to externally rotate. So it's this motion. All right, we're just loosening up the shoulder joint. All right, just back and forth. And then the next time your palm is facing up, you're going to reach it up really high and then bend the elbow and place your hand wherever it lands, maybe on the back of the neck or the back of the head. And we're going to take this right arm up and over, holding onto the elbow. Try to sit up nice and tall, but knit in the ribs so we're not bowing in the back. And then just go ahead and take a stretch to the side. Really getting into those side ribs. And coming back and release. And we'll do the same thing on the other arm. So right arm comes out. Again, just internally and externally rotating the arm. Right, just a few times. And the next time the palm is facing up, reaching it up nice and high. Bend the elbow. Take the other arm up and over. And just take a nice stretch over to the side. Let the head relax. Seat stays nice and grounded. Come on back up and release. We're just going to do our side to side motion from here. So planting one hand down, it doesn't matter which hand, just going nice and gently from side to side. Think about like a tall blades of grass, like blowing in the wind. They just kind of go from side to side. Nice, steady flow of breath. In and out through the nose. Again, here the seat is nice and rooted down. We don't want to lift up when we go from side to side. And then we're going to hold on one side. So whatever side you land on, just holding here. You can add a little bit of motion here if you want. Turn and face the floor. And then open up and face the ceiling. And just go back and forth with those two movements. Right, opening up. Right, if you have limited range of motion, this might be a little bit difficult. So just take it easy, right? Be gentle. And the next time you open up, we're just going to come up and over to the other side. Right, so holding here briefly. And if you want to add that movement in, turning to face the floor, opening to face the ceiling. Next time you open up, lift that arm and pull yourself back up. Right, so it's really important that we learn to engage the core in certain activities. So when I'm on my side like this, I can push off my hand to come up, or I can reach my arm up and pull myself up. See the difference? So one requires core strength, the other is just momentum of pushing myself. So we learn once we start to focus on the core that we can engage it in a lot of different activities that we're doing in yoga. Okay, so now we're just gonna start to walk the hands forward. So before we do, let's bring the hands behind us, right? And we're gonna lift the chest. So try to squeeze the shoulder blades together, maybe look up, and then start to come forward. So the hands come out in front of the legs, and we're just gonna walk our hands forward. Don't let the seat lift, and then just come down as far as you feel comfortable. Go ahead and relax your head and your neck. And then we'll take a walk with the hands over to the right side. Keeping that left hip firmly rooted down. Feel that nice stretch at the top of the hip. And then walking our hands back through center and over to the left side. Come back to center, walk the hands back in. And we're gonna change the orientation of our leg. So if your left foot is in front, you're gonna swap it out. This is where we're gonna really kind of notice the differences in our hips and which side is tighter than the other. So again, bringing the hands behind, right? Just lifting the spine, lift the chest, squeeze the shoulder blades together, look up. Nice big inhale, and then exhale, start to walk the hands forward. This time we'll slowly walk the hands over to the left side first. Just reaching away from that right hip that's rooted down. That's our anchor of our stretch right there. And then walking the hands back to center and then over to the right. Back to center and walk the hands in. All right, so from here, we're going to work on a little bit of some hip. I'm giving a hip workshop in February, actually a week from, next Saturday, the 20th, from 2 to 3:30. So I've been researching all this hip stuff, so I'm kind of practicing on you guys, but we can all benefit from some good hip mobility. So we're just going to bring the legs out in front. We're going to lean back on our hands, and the feet are going to be a little bit wider than hips width. So if I were hips width, I'd be here. I'm going to bring them out a little bit further. We did this last week. I'm going to drop my left knee out, and then I'm going to drop my right knee in. But what I'm not going to do is completely roll. So I want to keep my seat rooted down, and I'm just dropping that right knee in. So automatically, most of you will feel a stretch here when we do this. Right, so this is internal rotation of the hip. So the hips move like this. So right now we're internally rotating. So we're just dropping that knee in. We're just going to hold it for a few breaths. You can let the knee relax a little bit. If sometimes when we go into a stretch, we automatically tense up, and that's a normal reaction of the body. It's our built-in mechanism to protect us from getting injured, right? But if we breathe and relax a bit in the stretch, all of those things that are firing will calm down and they will allow us to move a bit further. Once the body like makes that connection that we're not in danger of being injured. It's amazing how the body is just so intelligent. And then from here, we're just gonna lift one knee up and then the other coming back to our starting position and then drop the right knee out, right? So my seat is staying really firmly rooted down and then just letting that left knee dip in. And I'm already feeling a stretch. This is an internal rotation of the hip. If you're really tight with this range of motion, the knee is not gonna go very far. Mine doesn't go really that far either. But this is a good indicator if you have, we're gonna do a stretch later to work on some internal rotation and how we can improve that. And we'll just bring one knee up and then the other, and then we'll bring the feet in a little bit closer and we're just gonna let the hips go from side to side. So this time you can let the seat lift up, right? It's more of like a twisty sort of motion, just going side to side. One of my favorite twists, and twists are a great way to start your practice. So the next time you drop the knees to one side, we're gonna turn to that side and then maybe go a little bit further facing the back of your mat. Most of you know if you want to take this a bit further, you can drop down to the forearms, only if it feels comfortable. And we'll walk it back through center. Lift the knees up and over to the other side. Turn to face the other side and then maybe turn and face the back of the mat. And then we'll come back to our starting position. I just realized that might be Gina over there. Is that Gina? Hi, Gina. All right, and then with the knees bent, so we're gonna work a little core. We're gonna come down onto our back. So we're gonna lift the chest, reach the arms out in front, and then slowly lower ourselves down, right? As slow as you can go. Really engaging the lower abdominal area. Right, and then once you're on your back, it should feel really good. Just take a breath here. And then we'll inhale, reach the arms up overhead. Take a nice big stretch. We'll really reach out through your fingertips and through your toes. Right, maybe flex the toes if you want to stretch the back of the legs. And on your next exhale, let's draw the left knee into the chest. Right, using the hands, drawing that left knee in. So this is called hip flexion, right? These are our hip flexors. So if you have tight hip flexors, this is going to be hard to pull the knee in close to the chest. You may be able to, but if your hip flexors are tight, your bottom leg will be lifting up off the floor. So try to keep that bottom leg grounded and just work here gently, drawing the knee in, let the shoulders relax. And then we're just going to take the top of the knee with our hands and we're going to kind of stir it around. Right, so we're working on a lot of different ranges of motion here. As you draw the knee across the body and then in towards the chest, let it drop out to the side. You may hear a little bit of clicking or grinding. Just again, be very gentle. And then we'll take those circles in the opposite direction. So that bottom leg, that right leg, we want to keep it nice and grounded, nice and active. So maybe even flex the toes. A few times around. And then release the leg down. And we'll take another nice big inhale, reach the arms up overhead, nice big stretch. Oh, it feels so good to stretch. And then exhale, drawing the right knee in. Hug the knee in toward the chest. Shoulders relax toward the floor. Relax your jaw as well. Relax your face. Again, grabbing the knee and just going around. Try to engage every range of motion here. So dropping it out to the side, pulling it in across the body and away. Use one hand, two hands, whatever helps you. And then take those circles in the opposite direction. And then we're just gonna plant that right foot down. So we're gonna keep the knees bent, both knees bent, bring the feet in, kind of close to your seat. And we're gonna cross our left foot over our right knee. So this is our external rotation. So we wanna let the knee drop out to the side. Right? And my shin here is pretty much parallel with the floor. So if you have tight hips, your knee may be closer to you. So want to try to let the knee relax away from the body. And then we're just going to slowly draw the other knee in, right? Reclined pigeon. We want to keep this left foot active. Relax the shoulders. Nice breathing here. Maybe some gentle ujjayi, some soft ujjayi, dragging the breath to the back of the throat. Making that quiet whisper sound. And then maybe rocking a little bit from side to side. This really helps to target some of my tight areas when I do this. External rotation is knee out, foot in. We're going to plant that right foot back down and then just bring the leg up like this so it's bent. And we're going to bring our knee in and our ankle out. So hopefully you guys can see that. That's internal rotation. And it's not going to be as great as our external rotation. And just to kind of give you an idea of where you might be tight in your hips. And then we'll go ahead and plant that left foot down. Right foot comes up and over, same thing. We're going to cross it over. My shin is parallel with the floor, letting my knee drop away. I'm going to flex my right foot, right? So my toes are reaching back toward my knee. My knee is relaxing away from the body. And I'm going to slowly draw both legs in. Right? You feel that nice stretch in there. Reclined pigeon is so nice because you really control, you don't have your body weight on top of the stretch. The stretch is above the body weight. So you can back off if this feels too extreme, right? You can pull it, draw it in if it feels like you can go a little bit further. And again, some rocks from side to side might feel a little nice here, just gently rocking side to side. And Drop your left foot to the floor and then uncross the legs, keeping the knee lifted. We're just gonna bring the knee in, foot out, right? So I hope that makes sense to you guys. Knee in, foot out, just to test our internal rotation. And then back, and then we're gonna rock our way up, so hands behind the thighs, just rocking a few times. Want to work on that core strength, try to come up and find the balance here. Maybe lift the legs or lift the arms. And then release. We'll cross at the ankles and we're going to roll over the knees and we'll come into tabletop. So once you're in your tabletop, you want to make sure your knees are below the hips and your wrists are below the shoulders. Right, once you're here, let's just take a few circles around. And then go the opposite way. If you find that your knees are uncomfortable, you can always put a blanket or some type of cushion under the knees. And then we'll come back to our starting point. So this is going to be a little tricky, but we're going to try to lift so these are called fire hydrants. We're going to try to do 5 of these. So if you want, you can tuck your right toe under for stability, and we're just going to lift the left leg out to the side. Get it as high as you can, bring it back down. Right, try to do 5 of these. Lifting, this is a hard movement. Just do the best you can. 3, 4, and then last one, 5. Okay, let the knee come down, and then we're going to switch sides. So when I tuck my left toe, it's almost like a kickstand, and it's going to offer me some stability. So 5 on the other side. Are you inhaling? Lift. And once you've completed the last one, just go ahead and wag the hips from side to side. So that is called abduction. Adduction is when we bring the knees together. Abduction is when we bring the knees away from one another. So from our tabletop position, you want to walk the hands back a little bit. We're going to bring our left leg out in front. And you want to bring it out kind of far so that when you lean forward, right, you're not right on the kneecap. You're more on the front of the knee, right, as opposed to bringing it in like this and letting the knee go way past the foot. Right, so take a moment to set it up here. You can use blocks on either side of your foot, or you can just tent your fingers, and we're just going to sink into the hips. So what you're probably feeling here, this is your quadricep muscle, the large muscle in the front of the leg. Some people say it targets the hip flexor. Other people disagree that this is a hip flexor stretch. There's so many different opinions out there. If you feel comfortable, you can bring your hands to the top of your knee. Walking up and then placing the hands on the top of the knee. When you're in this position, you want to, as much as possible, try to tuck your tailbone under. So you're just offering some stability. So this would be untucked, this would be tucked. Tucking it down. Lifting the chest if you're up on the knee. And then we'll bring our hands back to the floor. We're going to shift back for a hamstring stretch. All right, so send the hips back. Try not to let the seat go back toward the heels. Try to keep your seat over your knee as opposed to sending the seat all the way back. And then just nice gentle stretch here. Inhaling, exhaling into the stretch. Try to keep as much of a flat back as possible. So you don't want to round forward. We want to try to keep the chest and torso kind of moving forward. And then we're gonna come forward again. We're gonna place the right hand down. So you may need to adjust a little bit for this. We're gonna work on a circle here. So we're gonna bring the knee out, send the hips back, in, and around. So I'm just basically doing a circle. I'm kind of rolling to the outer edge of my foot, coming back a bit, rolling to the inner part of my foot for that internal rotation. Just a few times around. It's kind of a new movement, and then we'll go the other way. So you need to shift the hips forward and back as we do this movement. That right hand, you're kind of leaning in your weight into it. And once you've done a few circles in the opposite direction, go ahead and swing that left leg back. All right, let's take a child's pose here. We'll bring the knees wide, big toes touch, send your hips, your seat back towards your heels, really press the seat back, and then just reach forward. We'll take a few breaths here, just nice and slow, in and out through the nose. Try to melt the heart towards the mat, really soften the space between the shoulder blades. Feeling that length in the spine, maybe that nice stretch on the inner hips. Slowly walking the hands back in. We'll bring the knees back together. Coming up, we're going to switch sides. So bringing that right foot forward. Again, we're looking for a low lunge, so we don't want the knee directly under the hip. We want it back a little bit so that when we come forward, we're not on the kneecap. You can see I'm on the top of my leg. And then from here, either tenting the fingers on either side, maybe staying here for a breath or two, because you might feel already the tightness, and it takes a moment, like I said, to kind of ease in. Maybe even close the eyes here and just breathing that gentle ujjayi, that soft ujjayi. Only if it feels comfortable coming up onto the knee. Hands back to the mat. We'll shift back, holding over that front leg. Ardha Hanumanasana, half split. And then coming forward. So we're going to plant that left hand down. Try to do it facing you guys this time. So we're going to plant that left hand down. And I'm going to just move my knee around, right? Shifting forward and back. And then taking it the opposite way. So dropping in, or whichever way you're going. And then plant your hand down, and we'll swing that right leg back. So we're back in our tabletop. So from our tabletop, we're going to come into half hero's pose. So half hero's pose is going to work on that internal rotation. It's going to help with our hip flexors, right? So half hero's pose, I'm going to bring my left leg out in front, and I'm going to let my weight go to the side so that my right foot is actually on the outside of my hip. I'm not sitting on the foot. And I want to try to keep my knees as close together as I can. So I don't want the legs splaying out to the side. And then from here, just work out, this might be enough of a stretch for you right here. This might be totally fine. Stay right here. Or you can start to lean back. Lean back on the hands. That feels pretty good. Maybe you want to drop to your elbows. If that feels pretty good, maybe you want to lie back. Try not to let the knee lift up from the floor. Right? You want to keep the knee nice and rooted down. This is a pretty intense stretch here. This is going to help with our hip flexion. Try to relax the low back here. Try to imagine the low back is kind of relaxing toward the mat. We all have that natural curve, so the low back isn't going to actually reach the floor here, but you want to relax it toward the floor. And very slowly, let's start to make our way back up. So if you're lying back, onto the elbows, then up on the hands, and then just swing that leg out in front. Right, take any movements here that feel good if you want to just kind of wiggle the legs or bounce the knees. Right, and then we'll switch sides. So you can swing that left leg around. Right leg is straight, right leg is engaged, so the toes are pointing up toward the ceiling. There's some nice activeness in this right leg. And then just slowly start to lean back. Coming down wherever feels comfortable for you, not feeling the need to have to go any further than that. Right? Sometimes when people come all the way down to the back, they start to feel like this tweaking in the low back. That's not good. That's not what you want. So again, just being very gentle with your body. And slowly making your way back up. So you're pressing back to that starting position and then just swing the leg out in front. And again, if you want to take any movements here, just kind of shake it off, maybe rub the quad muscles. So we're gonna come back up to our knees. We're gonna do another hip stretch here. So I'm just bringing my knees underneath my hips and I'm gonna bring my left foot out to the side. Right, so with my foot out to the side, the entire sole of my foot is on the floor. So I'm not like on the inside of the foot. My foot is on completely on the mat and my toes actually line up with my knees, or my knee rather. So when I look at it, my toes line up with my knee, and then I'm gonna place my right hand to the right of my knee, right? So I'm kind of like 3 points, foot, knee, hand. And then from here, I'm just gonna reach up and over, gate pose. Nice. Kind of like, sort of like triangle pose in our practice. And then again, using that core, reach the left arm toward the ceiling, and instead of pushing yourself off the floor, see if you can lift yourself up. It's hard, it's not easy. And then we'll go the other way. So this way is going to be a little bit more difficult. Right, left hand rests, right arm up and over. So when you do this and you reach the right arm up and over, you want to send the hips forward and tuck the tailbone under. Now this is really going to target the hip flexor. Keep sending the hips forward, keep tucking the tailbone under. Nice. Right, and then come back. And we're going to switch sides. So left knee comes under. We're going to bring that right leg out to the side, that right foot. It's flat on the floor, in line with my knee. My left hand is about 1.5 feet away from my left knee. Send your hips forward, reach up and over. And reach the right hand to the sky and lift. Go the other way. Right hand comes down, left arm reaches up and over. Right, send the hips forward, tuck the tailbone under, and reach over. You're really going to feel that stretch here. And release. We'll bring our hands to the mat, bring that right knee under the hip, and we're going to switch sides again. So left leg is going to come out. Again, we're going to bring the sole of the foot on the floor. And this time we're just going to lean back. So again, this may be enough of a stretch for some of you. If you want to go a little bit further, start to send your seat back towards your heel, right? Get nice and low. Maybe walk the hands forward if you have the ability. And then just go ahead and relax your head and neck. And then come forward from here. So we're going to try a little bit of a test of hip strength and flexibility. Bring that right arm back out. See if you can lift the leg. Right? So it takes a lot of that strength in the hip to lift up. And then go ahead and release. And we'll switch sides. So right leg comes out, left knee is underneath the hip. Again, just slowly, maybe bringing the seat back toward the heels. Start to lower toward the floor, walk the hands forward. Okay, press back up. And again, if you want to try lifting the leg so that left hand reaches out to the side. Again, about 1.5 feet away from the knee. Try to lift the leg up. Right, if you want, reach the arm over. I like to press out through my heel, and I like to, almost as if I'm standing on that leg. That's the amount of strength I have in it. Okay, and then slowly bring it back down. Right, so if that was tough for you, you may have some tightness or some weakness in the hip area. Right, so we're gonna come back to all fours, our tabletop, and we're just gonna work on flexion and extension. So it's gonna look like this. This is going to be my flexion, drawing my knee in towards my nose, and then extension, setting my leg back and up. Right, flexion, extension. We'll just do a few of those. Inhaling as the leg comes back, move forward. Exhale, squeeze it in. Inhale, up and back. Exhale, squeeze it in. Try to keep the hips nice and level. And last extension. and then release the knee back to the floor. So sometimes when we do extension, we involve our backs. And then when that happens, we start to lift the hips. So see how my left hip is lifted. That's a tongue twister. I'm gonna try to level out the hips and extend. So now it's coming purely from the hip and not from the low back. So let's do that on the other side, right? So inhale here, exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, extend back. So both hip points are pointing toward the floor. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, extension. Exhaling, flexion. Do two more. Last one, extension. And then release the knee back down. And again, just take some gentle rocks from side to side. Letting the hips drop over to the left, to the right. And we're gonna move into our pigeon pose. We don't have a whole lot of time left, but let's just take our left foot forward. My left knee is gonna be on the edge of the mat, so I don't want my knee forward. I want it out to the side. My left foot is tucked in close to my hip. I'm gonna drag my knee back by tucking my toes, nice and low. I'm gonna face forward and then fold over the leg. You can let your head, your neck relax here, just breathe. You have a little bit of a heavy weight in that right pocket. If your hip is really high up off the floor, you can always place a pillow underneath your seat. Try to straighten out the back foot so that it's not crooked or sickling one way or the other. And slow, deep breathing here. I would love to stay here longer, but we're a little short on time, so let's go ahead and press up with the hands, and we'll swing that right leg out in front, send the left leg back, and again, so my right knee is on the edge of my mat, the right edge of my mat. I'm gonna bring my foot in close to my hip, right? If you have really good external rotation, you can keep your chin parallel with the front of the mat. A lot of people, not many people have that good of an external rotation. So it's okay to bring the foot closer to the hip, right? As long as the knee is on the edge of your mat. And again, I just like to use my toes to drag my knee back so I can get nice and low. And then I'm gonna square myself forward and then start to fold. Again, if you have really tight hips, this is a tough pose for you. And you feel free to use blocks, props, anything you want to tuck under your seat. And just try to breathe. I'm sure I've mentioned this before, but I didn't like pigeon very much when I first started practicing. I really didn't. My hips were tight, I was a runner. It just didn't, it was very uncomfortable to stay here. But over time, I've learned to really love this pose. It's a lot more comfortable than it was in the beginning. And it definitely is an awkward position, right? It's not symmetrical. So it's awkward, it feels weird. And it's hard to teach over Zoom sometimes. I would love to be in the class with you, adjusting and fixing wherever I could. But the verbal cues we'll have to do, and then whatever visuals you can see. Also, again, I mentioned that weight in the left pocket. So what that does is help to level off the hips a little bit. So if you're leaning to one side, when I mentioned the weight in the pocket, hopefully you're just gonna adjust it to level off the hips. And slowly pressing up onto the hands. We'll swing that leg out in front. And it's time for our Shavasana. So let's come onto our backs, and any last stretches or anything you need to get comfortable, go ahead and grab it. It's nice to just give yourself one last hug, maybe rock a little bit side to side. If you want to take a little twist to the right and then to the left. Right, our hips are pretty open. If you wanted to take a happy baby, you could grab the inside or outside soles of the feet, rocking gently side to side, maybe straightening the legs, whatever feels good here, whatever you feel like you need to kind of just complete your practice. And once you've gotten all your last final stretches out of the way, just coming to lie back in a relaxed position. Right, so letting the feet rather flap out to the sides. Maybe bringing the arms away from the body a bit, and you can turn your palms to face up. So up is remaining nice and receptive. You can maybe tuck the shoulders under a little bit to really open up the heart. Maybe lift the head, tuck the chin, and then lay it back down. All right, we want some length in the back of the neck. And then just let everything go very limp and heavy. Imagine your arms and legs are very loose, like heavy weights, sinking into the mat. Right, the back is heavy and loose. Chest is loose, but the chest is light. That's the only area. The heart space is light, but relaxed. Closing the eyes, going within. Finding that space within all of us. There's perfect peace, perfect contentment, perfect joy and happiness. Surrendering the body, surrendering the mind. Tapping into the spiritual heart. Very slowly, very mindfully. Bringing your awareness back to your breath. Just breathing life back into the limbs. Start to move your fingertips, toes, just gently reawakening the body. We'll all make our way back to a nice comfortable seat. I invite you to take your time doing so. No rush. Sometimes it feels nice to draw the knees into the chest and just kind of roll onto your side. Pausing there, having that moment of gratitude for your practice, for your body, all the amazing things that it does for you. Press up to a sit, maybe just softly closing the eyes or gazing down onto your mat. From here, let's bring our hands to prayer in front of the heart. Maybe remembering your intention that you set at the beginning of class if you set one, and just carrying that with you throughout the day. Continuing to spread that good vibes, that good energy. And we'll close out our practice by chanting one Om and 3 Shantis. So if you'd like to join me, we'll take a nice big inhale. Om. Shanti.
Shanti.
Shanti. Be receptive. Thank you, everyone.